Hey, Bob.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I feel pretty good today. I've had a slow morning. I went and had a burrito,
Ooh, what
a
kind of burrito
vegan
though?
burrito with my partner.
A
Um,
vegan burrito. What is in a vegan burrito though?
this one is tofu. There's black beans. I still have a little bit of it left. Tofu, black beans, vegan cheese, and pico de gallo. And
Ooh,
I think there's also a little bit of peppers in here as well because it was spicy.
it had a little kick to it, a little jalapeno kick to it.
Yeah, not jalapeno, but it's more like some sort of a other spicy pepper, but not
Okay.
a jalapeno. Jalapenos are kind of like almost a little pickle, something like there's something that's like a pickle about a jalapeno.
It always
This
hits me
is
in the back of my throat, and I'm like,
yes,
I can't
yeah.
do it like that. Wait, are you vegan or are you just eating
I
vegan?
eat vegan, but I'm not vegan.
What's your
But I
favorite
like
kind of
vegan
meat
food.
though? What's your favorite kind of meat then?
Probably chicken. You
Any
know,
any particular kind of way you like that chicken though?
like I like buffalo wings.
Ooh,
Yeah,
so you like a little kick? You do like a little
yeah.
kick?
I'm trying to phase. I think I am trying to phase chicken and like meats out of my life, or just trying to phase out some of the things that I've been taught are part of my Southern charm, which
Mm.
probably, quite frankly, are part of my Southern charm. But they're also probably a big part of the reason why I got denied for my life insurance because I was pre diabetic. And they're probably
Oh,
also part of the reason why my Aunt Dot got her feet cut off before she died because she was diabetic, or probably the reason why my grandmother Liz died of a heart attack. That Southern charm
that Southern
probably
charm.
has a lot to do with that as well.
So getting
So
curious about that, getting curious about the foods.
yes, I'm trying to unlearn a little bit of the like. There is great things to like Southern food. It's just like I understand the history behind it and where it came from and
Sure.
how it came from. Making something from nothing, and how proud people were when when the white folks would give the parts of the animals that no one wanted to eat. People didn't
Yeah.
realize that back in the day, white folks weren't really eating chickens. They were kind of like small peckish food that we give it to the black folks. They would eat the head, they would eat the roosters and the biggest birds and stuff, turkeys. And then the black folks eat these little chickens and the hog head and rump
Chitlins.
and chitlins and stuff like that. But also it's bad for you.
It's not.
It's bad for you. So
Yeah.
I have such a conflicted feeling regarding my love for Southern food.
Yes, Southern food is so good. I'm from Trinidad. Wait, let me do this because we gonna
Talk
jump
about the
right in.
South. You from Trinidad? I
So
thought I
wait,
was from the South.
can you introduce yourself, telling us your pronouns first, and just tell us whatever you want us to know about you in this moment?
I want to do it like a morning radio show. Hey, yo, what's good? It's your boy Bob, the drag queen, coming at you live in the morning. My pronouns are he, him, his, she, her, hers, and we are live in the studio. I've always wanted to do that.
I love that. I love that. In another life, you would have been a radio DJ, right? Is that
Right? Could you
yes? I
imagine?
love that. I love for
Well,
that.
I don't know. So back in Atlanta, back in the day, my mind veers a lot. But in
That's all good.
Atlanta, Ludacris, before Ludacris was a famous rapper, he was a radio DJ named
Yes.
Chris Lova Lova. So he had
Yes.
a show with this guy named Poon Daddy. It was Chris Lova Lova and Poon Daddy, and
Love those names.
Chris Lova Lova released an album, but it didn't really go anywhere. And then he kind of re-released it again, and I think that was either Incognito or Back for the First Time. I think it may have been Back for the First Time under the name Ludacris, and he kind of just blew up.
I do remember. I mean, I remember when that album came out, and I remember hearing that he was a radio DJ because I think it was at the same time, or I don't know the time, but like Angie Martinez in New York was also releasing an album, and there were a couple of DJs who were also starting to release albums.
Mhm.
But Ludacris hit. Are you from Atlanta? Did I not know that?
Yeah, I'm from Georgia, but I'm from all over Georgia, but I spent most of my years in Atlanta. Yeah,
I went to high school in Rome, Georgia, like an hour outside of
I know where Rome
Atlanta.
is. I know
You know
exactly
where
where
you,
Rome is. Of course I do. I'm from Georgia. You
you
see, so I know where Rome is. There's a whole section of Rome, and there's an Athens. It was
yes.
very old school. I'm from Clayton County, which is not a nice area.
Yeah.
But it is
Where is
where
it?
Bubba Sparks is. The airport's in Clayton County.
Oh, okay, okay.
So Clayton County is home to the world's largest airport. I mean, the
Yes.
world's busiest, not the largest. Clayton County is home to Hartsfield-Jackson International, which is the world's busiest airport. We are also home to Bubba Sparks, Waka Flocka
Come
Flame,
on, come on, come
Mikey
on,
Montana,
come on.
and also Kathy Truitt used to live there, who at the time was the wealthiest person in Clayton County.
Word.
Kathy Truitt is the guy who used to own Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
And at the time, he was
old.
the wealthiest person in Clayton County.
So Clayton County is popping. We can.
Yeah, we're not super proud of all of the people there. Like, I mean, but and me and I'm from Clayton County. I went to Mara High School in Clayton County.
Okay. Did you always know that you wanted to do drag and perform, or did that just?
Well, I mean, perform. Yeah, I did not always know I wanted to do drag. I didn't know I wanted to do drag till I saw it on TV and saw someone else doing it. And I had to see it a couple of times. It wasn't my first time seeing it, being like, "That's it, I'm doing it." I had seen a couple of drag queens doing movies, and then it was RuPaul's Drag Race that really made it click. Because when I watched Tu Wong Fu, if you ever seen Tu Wong Fu, it's not really a depiction of drag that is like, you know, what most drag. It's not. It's a very atypical drag queen experience.
Sure.
It's more so telling a story of like genderqueer trans women or genderqueer trans people who identify as men, which is a whole thing, by the way. But that is relatively atypical in terms of drag. Even the drag queens I know who are trans women don't get dressed up like that to drive across the country. Like, all my drag friends who are trans women are like, if I'm driving across the country, I'm probably just gonna put on some pants and a t-shirt or maybe a sundress, but not like that. Not Patrick Swayze in like a Mugler. Like, mama,
that's a lot, honey.
It's a lot. Not to go buy a car, getting dressed in Mugler to buy a car. Okay, Patrick Swayze. Okay, Swayze.
Okay, Patrick. Okay, I'm gonna ask you the little Black folks question of the day, which we kind of talked about food a little bit. So it's, you go to a church function or a cookout and you got to make yourself a plate. What you putting on that plate?
Well, I want to get the mac and cheese if it's baked.
Yes, if it's
this baked. Is me ignoring this strong desire to start going vegan.
Yes.
I'm gonna put mac and cheese on the plate. I'm gonna get fried chicken. I'm only getting the wings.
Ooh,
I'm only getting the wings.
Okay.
I'm not getting the breast, and I'm not getting a drum. I'm gonna get cornbread, whether it's from the box or not. I'm actually great with the sweet Jiffy, and I'm great with the
love a Jiffy.
The cornbread that's a little less sweet. I'm also gonna say there's baked beans, specifically if they're like barbecued baked beans. And that's probably gonna be my whole plate. But okay. I would like the baked beans with like pieces of like pork or something in it, or bacon or something, but not just baked beans. Not just beans.
Just like beans by itself. It has to have a little
sauce. I like to have stuff in there. And I'm probably going to keep going back a lot for the macaroni and the wings.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to be annoyed because if it's my family, there will not be ranch anywhere, which is so annoying. So I'm going to have my own ranch.
You have to bring your own ranch for sure. My family never with ranch was not. We had French dressing. You can come from French dressing, which I
discovered ranch once I started meeting white people.
Yes,
but I gotta be honest. But I gotta be honest. They figured out ranch is great. Like, I don't know why we have not been using ranch. No, not on the pizza. Not
on the pizza.
I'm the one. First, I love ranch on everything, but not the pizza.
Not the pizza.
I gotta say, white folks in their food have not. They're not legendarily well respected in the world.
No, it's not iconic.
AB, when it comes to ranch, those little pale motherfuckers have figured it out.
They figured something out. They figured the dip out. I feel white people have the dips. Like, I love an aioli. Give me any type of aioli.
Oh yeah, white folks love dipping. You ever had chips and then white folks bust out dip? And I'm like, what y'all dipping y'all chips in? Yes. Not dipping plain chips in like this dip. Just get chips with flavor on them. No, unless you're dipping them in nacho cheese
and guacamole or something. No,
yeah, but I mean but not like the Lay's dip.
Yes, the Lay's dip.
No, not on this day.
Okay, on my plate, I'm probably having two separate plates because one plate is for the mac and cheese for sure, because it has to be baked, and I'd like it to have multiple cheeses, and I'd like it to, whenever I go to restaurants, because as we said, white people are not iconic with their food, so I always have to ask what the mac and cheese is like, and is it baked, how many cheeses, and if it pulls. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah, I
sometimes
know
you go to
because you want the
places.
melted cheese on top. You would like a cheddar melted on top, and if you can get a corner
Yes.
piece, that's lit.
That's what it is. That's what it is. But I don't want it to be soupy and saucy because sometimes they're like, "Oh, this mac and cheese is great," and it's like soup, and I'm like,
Well,
"No."
there have been a few occasions where I've had a mac and cheese that was like a darker saucy that was fine, but typically speaking, I prefer it baked.
Yes.
And um, also, white folks love to use penne
What's
and call it
penne?
penne is I mean it's the pasta that's like a
Oh yeah,
cylinder
yeah,
and
yeah.
each end is slanted, whereas
Yes,
macaroni is curved. And I'm
yes.
like, Mama, this is not macaroni. This is penne and cheese. Macaroni is a type of pasta. It's
Yes.
called mac and cheese. Mac is short for macaroni. This is not macaroni.
Yes, fair, fair, fair. I know, but I also know some black people who don't like the elbows. They like a dip. They want to use a different. They're trying to make it
But it's
fancy.
not macaroni. If you don't use macaroni, it's not mac and cheese.
You're right. You're right. You're not. You're not. It's penne and cheese or penne
It's
and
penne
cheese.
and cheese.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I want the mac and cheese and I want the corner piece. Do you wait? Let me ask you. You like putting meat in the mac and cheese? Do you like it with the bacon, with the chicken?
Um, I don't necessarily put the meat in the mac and cheese, but I do think that mac and cheese goes best with ribs. There's something about ribs and mac and cheese
Oof. With the
together.
sauce
But I
mixing, or
wouldn't
do
put
you?
the ribs in there. I would just kind of like grab the fork between the two
Yes.
things. But yeah, I think that ribs are the best. If you're gonna have baked mac and cheese with the cheddar on the top,
Mm.
grab that corner piece. You're gonna want to go with ribs and not a dry
Mhm.
rub. You're gonna want like a barbecue rib
You want that
with
sauce.
sauce.
You want
Yeah.
that sauce. You allow the sauce to mix, right? Because some people are
Yeah, for
like, I
sure. Well, when I was a
absolutely.
kid, myself wasn't allowed to touch, but also because that was back when my parents were putting my parents, as if I live with my dad, when my mom was putting food on my plate that I didn't like, and then like I never ate collard greens. I don't like
Oh, you don't
green
like
beans.
collard greens?
I do not
I
like
can
collard
fuck with it.
greens.
I can fucks with that.
I don't like cooked vegetables. I prefer my vegetables
Sure.
raw. So
Sure.
like I like a salad. I like a but I don't like. No, I just
You
don't.
don't like a cooked vegetable.
I
No.
don't like cooked vegetables. I don't like mushrooms at all. Anyway, but collard greens is mad juicy, and
Hmm.
it's just sliding all over the plate. Now everything tastes like the food you didn't want, and I used to be the kid that would just kind of smush the food around and make it look like I ate it.
Yes.
And then
Yes,
when I
I know the
got really
trick.
desperate, my mom didn't make me eat a lot of food, but I would live with my aunt. I would got really desperate, so I would just shovel a lot of food in my mouth, and I mean to the
Yes.
point my mouth was completely full, and I would run to the bathroom and act like I
Eh,
was peeing. I would just spit it all out and flush it because
That's a trick. That's a
my
hack.
aunts were obsessed with making me eat food. My mom did not make me eat food I didn't want to eat. She like some lady at work told her, and she was like, just leave your kid alone.
And
If
let him
yeah, let
be.
him live, let him
Let the,
be. If is he a good kid, is he eating enough to stay healthy, then leave it alone.
that's fair. That's fair. My family would always cook Caribbean food, and so I was always down. There wasn't usually something that I didn't like to eat, but what I didn't like to eat were the veggies always. So like a collard green, cooking it down and mixing it with pork or whatever. Like the first time I had Brussels sprouts for real, with the bacon, that was amazing. My
Now
mother
I do
wanted.
okay. There are a few. I like Brussels sprouts.
Okay.
I love like grilled Brussels sprouts. I don't know why that is different than the other cooked vegetables, but I like carrots, and I can eat steamed broccoli. So now I'm just fully backtracking. I just don't like collard greens. I just don't like collard greens.
You just don't like collard greens.
I don't like leafy. Like when someone cooks spinach, I would rather have the spinach raw. Don't saute my spinach.
Sure.
I don't want a mushroom anywhere near my
You
essence.
don't like a mushroom. See, I like I don't crave a mushroom, but if a mushroom is there, so you don't like a truffle. You don't like a truffle mac and cheese.
I like truffle French fries because it
Okay.
doesn't taste like mushrooms, though.
That's
It
fair.
doesn't taste like mushroom. Like
That's
truffle is
fair.
different than the shit that goes on pizza.
You're very correct. You're very
You know?
correct. You're very correct. As for the chicken, I agree with you. I want the fried chicken, but I do like a drum. I like the leg and I like a wing. Would you like, are there different types of wings? Isn't there like a wing tip versus a
So what happens is the wing is actually two pieces. So when you see
Yes.
the drum and the wing, that's actually, but people break them apart and sell them separately. So there are some places that sell the entire thing as one. I'm not into that. I prefer them to be broken up into pieces.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
You have the flats and the drums, but the flats and the drums are actually a piece. It's like one piece that
Yeah.
connects.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so hungry right now. This is really fucking me up. I should not have asked this question. But yes. And then what would I only want mac and cheese and chicken on my plate. That's basically what I'm trying to do. And then
Work.
for
No cornbread?
dessert, no, the cornbread takes up too much space. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Like it just takes up too much. I would rather just shovel the mac and cheese in my mouth.
Also, if you're listening out there and you're cooking for the holiday season, just do me I know it's not popular, but cook your cornbread in a muffin tin. It makes it so much easier.
Yes.
Like
Agreed.
there's no cutting. Just cook
Agreed.
the cornbread in a muffin tin. It's already in the shape of a
Agreed.
muffin and it's great. No one is cutting off little chunks. There's not crumbs everywhere. And it's easy to
Yes.
pick up and bite. And also every bite is like a corner because the
Yes.
whole thing's cooked all around. No one has a piece that's just out of the middle.
Yes. Yes. Because nobody wants a middle piece of cornbread.
I don't know why
That
more people are not cooking their cornbread in muffin tins. It
I
really
thought that
is
that
a
was like the
big.
standard. I mean, that was the standard in our house. So the Jiffy, you mix it up and then you pour it in the muffin tin, you put it in the thing and let it
At my
come
house,
out.
they cooked it in a cookie sheet.
And like,
Not
oh,
a cookie sheet,
like the
no,
cake tin, like
like
that.
a cake tin, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They cook it like a sheet cake.
Yeah. I'm not here for that life. The muffin
Yeah,
tin
no.
is
And
the
it's fine, but it's just not as convenient.
I'm with you. I agree with you. I agree with you. Okay, I'm gonna ask you the big black folks question. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a question that a lot of people have been asking me, and I've given my opinions on it. But I thought it would be cool to have a conversation with somebody else about it, since we're in 20. This will come out top of next year, but we're in 2020. We've been dealing with the racial reckoning amongst every time I say it, it loses its luster because I'm like, what the fuck is a racial reckoning? But
It sounds like a movie, The Racial
racial
Reckoning.
coming to theaters in 2020. The racial justice and people having their awaken, or white folks having their awakening. So I'm in a interracial relationship with a white partner, and you are as well. Is that right? Before I
Yeah, I
ask
have
that
two
question.
partners. I have a Jewish partner and a Mexican partner.
Okay. So one of
Yeah.
your partners okay, so this is a little deeper. As a Jewish partner, does he also identify himself as white or just Jewish?
He's white.
Okay.
And he says he's white. I mean, they're definitely like last night we lit the menorah together. Like I was headed out and I saw him setting up the menorah. I actually bought him this menorah. I saw it at CVS because I know that he gets on Zoom with his family and they do the menorah lightings. But then our menorah was actually packed away in storage, and I was like, oh my god,
Oh,
Jacob doesn't have a menorah, so I got him this. And then it was really charming to like sit down with his family. But he's definitely white. They're
he's
white
white.
people.
Okay. So now I'll ask this question, which is, what has been your experience being in an interracial relationship with a white partner over the last couple months, over the last year?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I mean, I think that Jacob's been great. I mean, we're not passing out points, but he's doing a good job.
Yeah.
And there was a moment I remember. I think with us a lot. Me and Monet were doing an episode of it was like right in the thick of it all, and then it was called The One About the State of America. If anyone wants to check it out, in our last season, and there was me and Monet were just really fucked up. We couldn't be our jolly selves. We were very depressed and
Mm,
down. And then Monet was telling a story about this little girl who was in the backseat of a cop car with her mom, and the little girl was like, "Mom, don't you have to stop crying or else they're going to come shoot you." And we were really breaking down and crying, and
oof.
I was crying and Monet was crying and then Jacob was crying. And while I understand that Jacob was coming at it from a different place than I was, there was a sense of, this is fucked up, and I sympathize with you. That felt
Yeah.
nice. It's like my partner Ezra, who is trans, and whenever is Trans Day of Remembrance is upon us, which it just passed, not just, but like maybe a
Yes.
month ago, sorry ago. It affects him really deeply, and it affects me too, but just in a different way than it affects him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And in that moment, I'm just trying to be there and be supportive um, while he's processing his feelings. And that's
Yeah.
what Jacob did for me. And it is interesting. There's something really odd about being a Black person who's very pro-Black and very actively, happy to be Black. And then people see you with a white partner and they think that that is somehow an attack on your Blackness, or
Mm-hmm.
somehow it is a demerit in regards to your Blackness. And I can understand why someone would say that. I do think it is extremely problematic to
Yeah.
engage in that kind of rhetoric.
Why do you
Um,
think they say that?
I don't know. I mean, well, maybe what they're seeing is something different. They're seeing this, like me and my boyfriend, and they're like, "Oh, but you love Black people." I'm like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do love, like, I love being Black and I love Black people.
Yeah.
And I also love this man named Jacob, who's my partner. And those two things are certainly not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. It's I feel that because it's, my husband is white as well, and there is this reckoning of, and I've talked to a couple other Black folks who are in interracial relationships and who are also have public positions or profiles. And one friend said something that like shook me. She was like, "Yeah, I stopped getting invited to like some of the Black events that I used to get invited to once they found out that I was dating a white partner." It's like, oh yeah, this thing is really deep where all of a sudden your Blackness is questioned because you have a white partner. And I understand, what I understand is I understand obviously the history of the relationship between Black and white people in the country, but I'm not sure what that has to do with our relationships in the present moment.
Well, well, I would say maybe not that. I think that it has less to do with interpersonal relationships. So
Mm,
when I say that, all white people are inherently racist, and that does not that does not exclude, pardon me. When I say all white people are racist, and that does not exclude any white people that I know and love,
mm,
what I'm saying is, if you are white and you're raised in America, you have an implicit bias toward people who are like you and against people who are not like you. So what I say is, if you are walking down the street and a pack of big Black men are all walking towards you and you cross the street, that's racist. Whether they would have
yes.
done something or not, whether you were right or wrong, doesn't change the fact that it's racist. I remember when I was younger, I was driving with my friend in a car. Someone ahead of me was driving poorly, and my friend said, "I bet they're Asian." And then we pulled up, and she was right. They were Asian, but that does not
Yeah.
change that what she said was racist.
Right. Yeah.
You
A
see what I'm
thousand
saying?
percent. Yeah.
So when I talk about that and the implicit bias people and people are like, but I thought there's this rhetoric on the internet that I hate white people, which is not true. There are times where I am annoyed with white people
Sure.
as an entity, and
Yes.
I have no qualms with saying that out loud. But then of course the narrative becomes, well, Bob hates white people, and I'm like, one, I don't. And even if I did, I have a feeling white people will be fine. Like, they gonna be all right.
They gonna be okay. They gonna be okay. Yeah, I've been saying just like trying to, which I have two feelings about this, which is one, like I have been being more explicit in being like, I hate whiteness, and I understand that not all white people fall under or subscribe to that or whatever. But it's also like I shouldn't, if you're triggered or you're mad because I said I hate white people, then you're probably doing something wrong to begin with, and you feel like I'm talking to you. Because I feel like the white people that are in my life that support and champion or doing the work or whatever, if I said I hate white people, they know what I'm talking about, and they hate it too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I've never said that I hate white people. What I have said is that white people are annoying. And to be honest, I stand by that. Like, sometimes white folks are just annoying. It's just like an
Hmm.
annoying thing to see. Just like rich people are annoying. Like,
Hmm.
rich people are just really fucking annoying. It's kind of like, there are times I just see like a bunch of like straight men in the world, and I'm like, you're so, like, your presence irritates me.
Yes.
Like, on surface level, do I have friends who are straight men? No.
I hate you. I hate you.
But I love my brother and my Uncle Scotty.
Yes, yes. Well, okay. So in saying that you're annoyed by white people, did your partner, did Jacob ever take that personally, or did you guys ever have to have a reckoning about saying that, or anything like
No, never. I think Jacob knows what the fuck I'm talking about.
that? Yeah.
I think Jacob knows what I'm talking about. And if you don't, I think that you might want to take a step back and look at why a lot of Black people say things like that, and then be like, maybe there's something to it. And it's not, again, if you're some white person listening to this and you're like, but Bob doesn't like me. First of all, I probably don't even know you. Let's just make that clear. I probably
Let's
don't
start
know
there.
who you are or anything about that. If I see you in the public, I will probably be very nice to you, just like I am to the Black people I see, just like I am to the Asian people that I see, just like I am to the, everything else that I see.
The straight people too.
Even straight people, I'm very nice to cis straight people. But there, I think whenever I say out loud, like white people, like if I'm just standing somewhere and there's some, this is gonna sound so messy, but you ever hear like, you ever like white people laughing about something? And you're like, what y'all niggas laughing about? Like, what the fuck y'all niggas laughing at? It just be like in a group, be like, I'm like, what y'all niggas? What the fuck are y'all laughing at? I don't feel like I need to fucking explain myself. That's how I feel.
Yes.
And there's probably some folks there are probably, listen, Black folks are probably annoying to white people. They don't want to, they will never say it out loud the way I'm saying it. But I bet there are times where white folks like, oh my God, Black people are so annoying. I can't sing my favorite Jay-Z song around them. There's that one part of a WAP that I want to sing, but I can't sing it.
So annoying.
And if Black people weren't around, it would just be so much easier to not like that's annoying.
Absolutely.
And if they said that, I'd be like, you know what? Go off. Valid. I can see that concept. But the truth is, because of our social standing, I feel much more comfortable saying white people are annoying than you feel saying Black people are annoying. And I don't feel bad for you.
Yeah, absolutely not. I do also, whenever back before COVID, when my Black friends and I would go out, you got a table of 10 Black people, the laughter is going to ring out.
Oh yeah. White folks know they be getting when niggas get together, white folks be like, oh my God. They be like, can you please,
like, you guys are just being a little like loud. Can you just like be a little quieter?
Listen, when we were when I brought Jacob back to Mississippi.
Oh goodness, tell me.
And so we were like haphazardly playing. It was 4th of July for my family reunion. Not this last 4th of July, but before that. And my cousins, my little cousins, not my cousins my age, my cousins' children, were playing with firecrackers, like lighting them and throwing them. And Jacob was like, oh my God, they're just throwing firecrackers. He was standing back behind a car because he didn't want to get hit by a firecracker. And I was like, you'll be fine, but he didn't feel comfortable. So then one of my cousins was like, oh my God. And I was like, well, she go, who is that white man looking at us? Because he was behind the car. She's like, who is that white man looking at us? And I was like, oh no, that's Jacob. That's my partner. He's with us. He's with us.
I love to see it. What's that
white man?
Why is that white person over here?
And my mom does this thing where whenever she talks about white people around Jacob, she always whispers it. She goes, we're at work in this, I'm sorry, Jacob, white lady. And it just really tickles me. I'm sorry, Jacob, but she was a crazy white lady.
I love the apology. So you had said that, Jacob gets it and has gotten it. And so I guess my question is, does he get it because you guys are always having conversations about this stuff? Or is he on his own doing his own kind of work? Or how does that?
And I also want to shout out to my partner Ezra as well, who is Mexican, but also has like a vaguely white look. I mean,
Sure.
he's one of those folks. If you just look at him long enough, you're like, are you Mexican? Are you white?
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure.
I think it's because Jacob is a liberal Jew from the East Coast, and is raised with like Obama loving parents, and
Yeah.
I think that that was a big part of his upbringing, and I think that's just where he is. Like, I don't think it's, I don't, maybe it is because of something, of conversation that we've had, but I know that his parents are also like super liberal. They know, his parents listen to my podcast. They hear
Yeah.
me talking about white people all the time.
I
Shout
love
out to
that.
Rose and Dean.
Yay, Rosendean. Yeah, with Matthew, Matthew, my husband has always been really proactive and has always, has worked in schools with predominantly Black and brown populations and kind of recognized his position as a white male in those spaces. And so was doing his own work. But then even in the middle of all this, we had our own reckoning, because then there was like being kind of trapped together. And so the biggest thing that I realized that we never dealt with was whenever a headline would come out of like another name, somebody else, uh, whatever it is, I would probably not be home with him, right? Like I'd be at work, I'd be somewhere else, or he'd be at work. And so I would process and compartmentalize. And by the time we saw each other again, we wouldn't talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it. I did my processing. And in quarantine, it was like, when Ahmaud Arbery and then Brianna and then George and Tony and Dominique, he was present as I was receiving that information.
Mm-hmm.
And we had just never experienced how to process in that moment with each other. I had never had to share my emotions like in the moment right then and there. And he had never had to hold space for it or witness it. And so there was definitely a learning curve. And not, and the difference with, from our relationship and I think some other relationships where I hear things that are like a little like, what's going on, is that, he's always been willing. And it sounds like the same with your partners, always willing, always down to do the work. And they know that, like, they know the position that they play. So it makes it easier, as opposed to if you have a partner, which there are some couples that have reached out and said, my white partner is not doing the work, and like suddenly is like, oh you're Black, and like, but you should be over this by now, right? And it's like, oh, that's a have you had
Well,
anyone reach out to you about that?
well, oh my God. So I actually had a moment where I was talking. Okay, me and Jacob did have a talk, and Jacob does not have a huge online. Actually, I don't know what people consider a huge online following. I mean, there's a big disparagence between, like, there's a big difference between how many followers I have and how many
Yeah.
followers he has, because I'm a drag queen that's on TV and he's a photographer.
Yeah.
So Jacob has about like 10,000 Instagram followers, and I
That's a
have about
solid
one,
base.
and I have 1.4 million. So it's a big difference
That's
there.
a solid base.
And
Yeah.
at one point I did say to him, like, we had to talk about uh like what it means for to post about these issues,
Mm-hmm.
and even if you don't have a big following, why it's important to post about these things. I had a lot of drag race girls calling me being like, what, why is everyone mad at me for not posting? And I was like, well, I'll tell you why. And then I would explain to them why I think someone might be mad. I said, maybe people have different reasons, but this is why, this is what I can assume, and
Yeah.
this is how I know how I feel. And then Trixie Mattel had a really do you know Trixie Mattel?
I don't know. I know who she is, but I don't know her personally.
Yeah. So you're like familiar with her work and stuff?
Yes, 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 yes.
So Trixie Mattel had a moment in one of her live shows where she said, she was like, because she's like, I don't get political, and then folks like, this is beyond like, I don't get political, and then someone just mentioned, one of her fans said, when you post a new lipstick, I buy it instantly. When you come to my town, I buy a ticket. When you have a video, I click it. I do all those things, and your Black fans are asking you just to do one thing,
Mm,
just to say Black Lives Matter, and you're not doing it, and it speaks volumes.
yeah.
And then Trixie was like, all right, that was all I needed to hear. And I see now why me not posting about Black Lives Matter is more than just some sort of it wasn't just like giving in to bullies on the internet. It's about people who want to support you feeling like your vision or your like basically you don't want to give money to someone who's not going to support you, or
Yeah.
someone who's going to turn around and use it for something you would never want to fund. You know what I mean? That's why people don't eat Chick-fil-A. It's not because the sandwich isn't delicious. It's because they don't want to give money that will later go towards something that could be directly
Harmful.
against them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, those conversations are so important in terms of like how social media is used. Cause I do think some people are like, well, it's just fucking social media. And it's like, yes.
And also, sorry, quick side
But
note too. If you're one of the folks who's mourning the loss of a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich, first of all, I understand. I used to work at Chick-fil-A. I worked at Chick-fil-A in college. Okay. It
yes.
is truly delicious chicken. But I just want to say out loud too that Popeyes really done changed the game with this new sandwich. They really have. And also, it's not the same thing, but if you go to the KFC, has something called the Nashville Hot. And if you get the finger licking sauce at KFC, that is also a great alternative. So I'm just saying.
You got all the hacks.
Yeah.
You shovel the food in your mouth, go to the bathroom, pretend to pee, throw
There
it
it
out.
is.
You know, like
all that being said, I'm still trying to go vegan, so we'll see what's popping.
we'll see what's popping. We'll check in.
Well, the thing about it too, the reason why people probably have a problem with you dating a white guy and probably me dating a white guy is also because you're you are considered a good black man. You have a job, you have a status, you got nice arms, you're handsome, and they're like, oh no, one of the good ones is gone. Which is odd to me because there's this notion that there are some who aren't good, which is in and of itself inherently problematic. Or this notion that there are just shit black men, which is in and of itself really problematic.
I've never thought about it like that because there is always that energy of, well, my mother, I don't know when you're growing up with your mother said to you, but my mother would say like, I'm raising you for a black woman. And that was like the whole thing, was that like I was being raised and like bred for a black woman. And when that did not happen.
And now you're getting bred by a white man.
Hey!
I'm kidding. So you set me up for that. You can't set me up like that and expect me not to take the bait.
I appreciate you. The comedian in me is like, thank you. Like, don't let that pass.
Well, my mom never said that, but I do remember my mom. My mom used to just say when I was young, she would just look at me and go, "You gonna marry a white woman one day." And she used to always say that to me. And I was like, I don't like the way that feels. Like, I don't like the way you look at me when you say that. My mom probably doesn't even remember saying that.
Oh, wow. I know how she said it. I can hear it.
It also makes you feel, there's this kind of way you feel like there was this moment where someone was like being like, Bob, don't fuck with black people. And I was like, okay, what I'm not going to do is like roll out my Rolodex of all the black guys I fucked. I'm not going to like call up. What I'm not going to do is like, call up and like, can you confirm?
Let's do an IG live. Can you please tell people that sucked your dick once? No, yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm certainly not going to play on that. But there is, I mean, policing who people date is inherently problematic.
Yeah.
But I see where people who have a problem might be coming from. I just don't agree with them.
So my question is, if you're a black person in an interracial relationship with a white partner, and you are feeling as though your blackness is being questioned by other black folks because you have a white partner, what's your advice to that person to deal with that?
Well, I don't think that blackness is, I don't believe in policing blackness, first of all. There's no gatekeeping of blackness. Being black is more than your experiences that happen to you. This is going to sound, I'm boiling it down too simple, but you're black if you're black.
Hey.
If you're black and you listen to Simon and Garfunkel, if you're black and let me tell you right now, even Ben Carson is black, okay?
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that he's exemplary in terms of his blackness, but you don't get to say he's not black. That is problematic. That's messy. That is that's not it. That's
Yeah.
really, that's not the tea. That's just not it. You know what I mean?
I do.
So like what you do, who you're with, where you are, what you listen to does not make you black. I was talking to someone about blackness the other day and like what is black and who's black and what makes black people black. And then someone was like, well, this person's not black because they haven't gone through the struggles. And I was like, okay, being black isn't just about being oppressed. Like, what about all the other things that come being black? It's not just because if you been through the struggle, you black. Like blackness, that boils blackness down to you're black because of what happened to you.
Yeah.
And your ancestors.
Yeah. As opposed to you just are.
Yeah.
So it sounds like more so like.
Well, I always say you are what you are and you are what you experience. You're two things. You are what you are and you are what you experience.
Yeah. I love that. You said your mom said that?
No, I said it.
You say that. Fuck yes. Don't let me give credit where it ain't to. It's credit for you.
Martha did not say that one. Martha said, you gonna marry a white woman. That's what Martha said.
That shakes me to my core. And then I guess the other question is, you know, if people are in interracial relationships, what do you think is important in terms of how you approach the conversations that we're having in terms of supporting you? Like, how did Jacob support you? How did Ezra support you in this year? And what worked or what didn't work, or like, you know, what are your thoughts there?
Well, I mean, they certainly held space for me when, you know, there was a point where I was really depressed, and I'll never forget this day. Jacob and a friend came over we were all going to watch Star Wars. I had never seen Star Wars before. I still, to this day, by the way, have never seen Star Wars. Right now, the story didn't go as planned. And they came over because Star Wars is on Disney Plus. I was like, let's check it out. I'm finally going to watch Star Wars. And then there was some bad news that day. And then I just could not bring myself to just sit in that room with them and watch Star Wars. So I just went to the other room and I literally like locked myself in the room and listened to MLK speeches, which sounds very melodramatic.
No, it doesn't.
But that's what I needed in the moment. And then Jacob would check on me and be like, do you need anything? I'm like, no, I just need to have this moment where I'm just, this is what I need. What I'm doing right now is what I need.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, let me know if you need anything.
Did you ever have a moment where you were annoyed at Jacob? Obviously, he maybe didn't do anything, but just like,
yeah, for sure.
Annoyed at the white presence.
This is what I mean by being annoyed by white people. Like being annoyed that like this thing happened, and then like they were able to just sit in the other room and like just watch TV.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I guess what annoys me is that I don't have that privilege. I'm annoyed that someone else does.
Yeah.
And I could hear them just in the other room, just watching TV.
Yeah.
And like talking about Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
And I was like, that's so fucking annoying.
Yeah. We had obviously Pride was canceled, but then there was the march here, and I was really trying to like muster up the energy to go, because I'd been to all this other protests and whatever, and I felt so guilty. I emotionally like just couldn't fucking go. But my husband went, and he came back like, you know, charged up, and I had been home just like, you know, going through it. And then like, you know, I think he like wanted to like, you know, like have a drink and like celebrate and like have like pride. And I was not there. And we had to have a conversation after, because I was like, I don't know what you think this is for me. Like, it's not the same. It doesn't hit the same. Like for a white person, yes, I want you invested and I want you to go out there and do what the fuck you got to do. And so you're able to maintain a fiery passion for it all. But so like for me, it's like, oh, but like the experience, like there are moments where I can be passionate and fiery, but also there are these really dark moments where I don't have that. And I got really annoyed that he could.
That's annoying.
Yeah. that doesn't drain them. It doesn't.
Yeah, that's fucking annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like seeing someone who, I mean, for example, I get it with a lot of stuff annoys me that isn't people's fault. It's not all the white people's fault that white people in general annoy me. I get annoyed by people who don't have to work out and have flat stomachs. That's annoying. That's
Yes.
fucking annoying.
Yes.
To like open my phone and see like, how old are you?
33.
I'm 34.
Okay.
So like open my phone and see like a 22-year-old whose body is just bananas. Like I just eat shit all day. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so annoying. But I have to like see that. I don't hate the person.
Yeah.
I have no disdain for the person. I'm just annoyed that they have that and I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a beautiful way to break it down. It's like there's so much work that you have to do for this thing, for this life.
And I've just inherited it without any, I just got it. It's mine.
Yeah.
I'm going around with it. I'm doing my thing. I'm making it work.
Yeah.
But it's annoying.
It's annoying. It's annoying. I hear that. So then I guess my last question for you
and
is,
I am eating a vegan burrito to everyone listening.
Yeah. You better eat it with confidence and pride. Is it cold? Is it warm?
Bitch, this burrito is so fucking cold.
You don't care no more. You don't
care. Give a
fuck. You said feed me. I don't give a fuck. Okay. My last question. What's the last question that I want to ask you? Because I feel like we talked about it all. But I guess what's your advice to any interracial, specifically Black and white interracial couples out there? What's your advice as we move forward into 2021? And we're obviously not done. You know, I love a lot of people like, Biden, so we're done. It's like, no, bitch, we just begun. But what is, in terms of the maintaining the relationship and nurturing the relationship between a Black and white partner, do you have any advice that you would give?
Well, I guess the question is like, I mean, like what, in giving advice to an interracial couple, what would be my point in doing that? Like I think that like I'm thinking really hard about that. Like I don't necessarily want to create this narrative where I'm like, all those poor Black people who have white partners who are getting shamed by other Black people. But also, in terms of that, if someone is like questioning your Blackness, it honestly says a lot more about the person doing the questioning than it does the person in question.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Agreed. Yeah.
And it's really, I understand that it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And it's really none of my business. These people's deep thoughts about me and Jacob.
Yeah. But
as if I'm doing something degenerative to the Black community.
Right. Yes.
And also, I mean, how like as if someone who like a Black person who has a Black partner, as if your dick is such a fucking gift that it's enhancing the entire Black community. Like as if your dick is a gift. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that like, I maybe I just don't, you know, I don't know. It's problematic is all I'll say.
Yeah. Well, I guess outside of like worrying about other people's gaze, GAZE on the relationship, if you're in the relationship, what do you think? What have you learned from your relationship in terms of navigating all of this? Like what you know, there have been some good, bad, some ups and downs, but what has been the thing that you've learned in terms of maintaining the love and maintaining?
Well, I think that what I've learned in terms of maintaining has very little to do with race and more to do with two people having an interpersonal relationship that revolves around honesty and openness and talking about what you feel right when you feel it and not waiting for it to collect 2 or 3. You don't want them to snowball.
Yeah.
You don't want to get 2 or 3 of those things behind you because then when you talk about it, it's going to be a mess. So that's what has helped me in terms of my relationship. I don't know if that's specific to our race, but that has certainly been a wonderful tool. Yeah. Honesty and openness even when it's uncomfortable. Probably especially when
Especially
it's
when it's
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable. Well, I mean, yeah, I think you're right. It's not about race, but that's the foundation. It's like, well, I think what happens, or what, based on what I'm hearing or reading, is that because it's uncomfortable, the conversation is uncomfortable, they're not having it. But that's existing whether it's about race or not. And race conversations are uncomfortable, and you
But
have
it's
to.
interesting too, the idea of like I'm dating this white guy, but you have 3 black exes you hate. So like, who hates black people?
Mess. Uh, yes. Well, I love that advice. I think that that's, it's really not about the race. It's about open honesty and communication and having the uncomfortable conversations. And race might be a piece of that. But
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, in your
And people,
relationship.
I mean, there's people you can talk to. If you ever have Michelle Buteau on their
Mm-hmm.
podcast, she has a
Yes.
white partner, Sashir Zameda, who was on SNL.
Yes.
And there's like, it is, again, the people that it bothers, they're bothered people. They're
Amen.
troubled. The people who have troubles are troubled.
Yes. Yes. I want to
Something
end
wrong
right
with
there.
her. Something wrong with her.
Something wrong with her. I want to end right there. Bob, thank you so much for taking the time. This was really wonderful to have this conversation.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.